and welcome again to another edition of BFR Ministry, Bible Facts Revealed. We are an extension of Absolute Bible Truth Atlanta, where Brother Joshua and Brother Big Baby are the teachers there, along with assistant pastors Brother Antoine, Brother LeVar, Brother Jeff, and Brother Kevin. And I am Brother David, your teacher for today, and reading for me as usual is Sister Teresa.
How you doing?
And we are Absolute Bible Truth Chicago. And we have a motto here, and our motto is simply this: if they can't prove it, don't you believe it. That's our motto here. And the title of our class today is, it's a very simple lesson, and we're going to give you the title right now. Honoring God. How do we do this? Once again, the title of our class today is Honoring God. How do we do this? And it's quite simple. And most Christians will tell you a whole lot of things, but the things that the Bible say you do to honor God. Honoring God, brothers and sisters, is much more than just dancing, shouting, and singing. Okay? You got to have some works. And they say you don't need no works. Jesus did it all for us. No. He died once for your sins. He ain't going to come back and die no more for them. You're going to die yourselves for them. But there's much more to honoring God than just dancing, singing, and shouting, and giving him lip service. This is what's going on, a lot of lip service. You have so-called faith, but you don't have any works to go with that faith. By your faith, you should have works, and by your works, you show your faith. That's what the books say. And so we're going to get right into this lesson and try to shed a little light on how you serve God, how we as servants of God serve God according to what he has written in his word. Now, we can, of course, show you everything. So I've selected some passages in the book, and hopefully this will get you closer to going back in the book and reading it yourself so you can find more information on how you serve God the right way according to his word, not according to what somebody's telling you. Because 9 times out of 10, if you don't double check it, it's going to be wrong. You're going to be led astray by the blind, and the blind lead the blind. You're both going to wind up in the same place, a ditch. Okay? And you don't need that. You can read this word. It's right here for you. Simple. Sit down, take your time, pray on it, and pray to God, give you some insight, you get understanding, and he'll give it to you. If he can see in you. He knows your heart. He knows that you want to get this thing, but those who play with him, that's why you can't never get it. Because he knows you ain't sincere and you're not for real. You need to understand this. Don't give up on God. Because, hey, that's what happened. You give up on him. Then you blame him. You the one giving up. You're not seeking. You're not trying hard enough. So we're going to get into this word, honoring God. How do we do this? And we're going to do this by starting out. We're going to first and foremost eliminate a method of honoring God here. Because like I say, it's much more to honoring God than shouting and dancing and singing, brothers and sisters. You know, it's much more to honoring God than that. So we're going to start this off in Isaiah 29, and we're going to read one verse, verse 13. And as I said, you have to do more than just give lip service to the Lord. And a lot of so-called Christians, that's all they do. Specifically, these black Hebrew Israelites that we know who claim to be Hebrew Israelites, they love to give God lip service. But they don't pay attention to what they're doing. Because you can't just do anything and say you're honoring God and it's acceptable. Those of us with some understanding know that it's not. But anyway, let's start here and see what this says. Let's start dealing with this a little bit. Verse 13 in Isaiah 29.
Wherefore the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth.
Now, what people is he talking about?
Israel.
Israel. Black Hebrew Israelites. That's what it's talking about here. It's talking about you if you say you're a black Hebrew Israelite. And anybody else that's even not a Hebrew Israelite that say they serve the God of this Bible is talking to you too. Not just them, just you to all so-called servants of the Most High God. Whatever color you are. Let's be clear about that, because there's nothing racist about us We just read you what the book says and say certain things that pertain to certain people. And it's not personal. We just calling out the people that we happen to know to be doing certain things. So it's never personal or racial thing involved with us in preaching this book, because God is not a racist and his servants can't be one either. In spite of what these racist Hebrew Israelites, some of them say. Because all of them are not racist, okay? Just like all white people are not racist, and so on. All right? I want to make that clear. Okay, it's a disclaimer of sort. Okay, but continue reading this. He said, for as much as his people draw nigh with their mouth, he's talking about his people, Israel. Go ahead.
And with their lips do honor me.
Lip service. Go ahead.
But have removed their heart far from me.
Their minds. Your mind don't belong to God. You act like it does, but if people pay closer attention to your actions, they can see that your mind is far away from God too. Go ahead.
And their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men.
And here's the key right here. This is the problem. Their fear toward God is taught by the precepts of men. In other words, they have removed what God says, so you can understand that you must fear him. You better, you wise, you will. Because you don't even understand that fearing God is your protection.
Mm-hmm.
If you fear him, you're protected because you're not going to do anything that's against his word, brothers and sisters. That's very simple. But people have twisted this thing, and I don't have to fear God. What kind of God is it I got to fear him? No, you're not supposed to have that attitude. But if you truly fear God, read his book. That's your protection. Okay? You're not going to break any of his laws and go against his word in any wise, and therefore you're okay.
And I'm just saying this is my own thought, but fearing God is not fearing him himself, it's fearing the punishment that he will render unto you if you don't.
That's not your own word, that's written in the book.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's written in the book. Exactly what she says is written there. And this is the point. You know that there's a punishment for sin. The Bible tells you that through in and throughout, there's a punishment for sin. We're seeing the results of sin every day when you look outside your door. You walk outside, people are dying, being murdered, being killed, because the earth hasn't been cleansed of its sin.
Mm-hmm.
It's sin continually. It's filthy, it's corrupt, it's polluted. And this is what you have. Sin caused that. And it is still going on today. So he said that their fear toward me is taught by the precepts of men, by the laws of men. Anyway, that if you're faking honoring God, you better stop it. Because there's a penalty for that. You think you're fooling God. You can't fool a being that was here before you even thought in his mind. How you think you're going to fool him and get away with that? That's something to contemplate. Let's move on to Proverbs 15. We're going to read one verse there. We're talking about honoring God. How do you do that? And certainly not teaching people just the opposite of something he wrote in the book is the way to do that. Mm-hmm. Okay? But let's go to Proverbs 15 and 33. We're going to read one verse there, because honoring God, if you say you honor God, there has to be some humility involved in honoring him, because you have to humble yourself before God first, brothers and sisters, because to fear God is wisdom. You can read that too, because he's a mighty God. Go ahead and read that 33rd verse in Proverbs.
The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom.
It's telling you right here. Go ahead.
And before honor is humility.
Humble yourself. Have some humility before this God. This is a mighty God. You can look out and see his wonderful and marvelous works, his power. And you're not going to fear this God? That is just plain stupidity. As simple as that. It's the only word you can just come up with. It's plain stupidity. You listening to man. These men you listen to can't give you nothing. God has promised you eternal life. What man can give you this? Nothing. Not one man can give you that. And when I said nothing, I mean the material things. The Lord tell you that stuff fades away.
Yes, it does.
It don't last. So he can't give you nothing. But this God is saying he's going, and he promised this. I'm going to give you eternal life. If you walk upright, keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, and teach others to do so. But anyway, it's clear you have to have honor, and you have to fear him, because fearing him brings about humility. Okay, we're going to go now. Let's move on. We're going to go to James 4, and we're going to read verse 6, then skip to the 8, and then skip to the 10. James 4, when you get there, read.
But he giveth more grace. Wherefore he saith, God resisteth the proud.
Resisteth the proud. It's the proud that don't honor God. Brothers and sisters, they don't have no humility. Go ahead.
But giveth grace unto the humble.
And he giveth grace unto the humble. You humble yourself before the Lord. This is a great God. Skip to 8.
Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you.
If you turn from God, what is he going to do?
He's going to turn.
He's going to turn from you. You don't understand that. He don't have to bargain with you. You don't have nothing to give him to make him happy or to live long or anything. He has something that you need. Finish that.
Cleanse your hands, ye sinners.
Cleanse you full of innocent blood. Cleanse your hands, he said. Change your evil ways. Go ahead.
And purify your hearts, ye double-minded.
We was talking about the mind when we read it. It was in Isaiah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, brothers, and put the right thing up in here between your ears. He say, purify, make clean your hearts, your minds, and don't be double-minded.
Mm-hmm.
He calling you double-minded because you can't straddle the fence with the Lord. Just like some people say they can have two eyes. No, you're going to love the one and hate the other, and you have to treat them both equally, and there's no way you can do that. That's just something else I thought I'd throw in there. But for these so-called preterists, who also, and you got also, not only them, you have these Egyptologists and all these other people thinking that, it's a great thing to have more than one wife and so on and so on. Not getting off the subject, but brothers, you're double-minded. You can't be double-minded and do anything that's righteous before the Lord. You're straddling the fence. You have to keep it straight. Go straight to him, because he coming straight at you with what he wants you to do. He ain't confused about what he wants you to do and asks you to do and commands you to do. Okay? You can't be double-minded. Okay, go to verse 10 and let's read about this again.
Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up.
Not your pastor, not your friend or your buddy. You humble yourself in the sight of the Lord before him, and he will lift you up. And once he lifts you up, can no man knock you down? And if you do fall, it's because of something. You check out what you're doing. And you just might be trying to become stronger later on for something else he wants you to do. You got to think about it. You can't be double-minded, brothers and sisters. Okay? You can't do this. You can't serve two masters. Sin and God. Simultaneously. You can't do it. You can't honor both of these at the same time. It's going to either be God or you're going to honor the devil. You're going to do righteousness or you're going to do wicked. Ain't no in between that. That's very plain in the Bible. Let's keep it moving and go to Luke 16. We're going to read one verse there, verse 13. Pay attention to this, okay? Because you're simply fooling yourselves, not the Lord. You ain't fooling him. Read that 13th verse.
No servant can serve two masters.
Yeah. Read it again.
No servant can serve two masters.
Keep on reading.
For either he will hate the one and love the other.
Just like I said, you got two wives. You can't love them both equally, brothers and sisters. You can't do that, brothers, for you individuals who want to deal with polygamy. You can't do it. Okay? That's just a little something I thought I'd throw in there. But we're talking about honoring God. You're not honoring God if you try to do this and you can't do it. Because a lot of people won't admit that. But a wife is very demanding, brothers and sisters. And some people in some countries will call people henpecked. They say your wife is your master. Some people say that. If that be the case, then you can't serve two of them. Can't have two of them, because you can't please them both. There's just no way you can do that. But go ahead.
or else he will hold to the one and despise the other.
That's correct. That's true. Go ahead.
Ye cannot serve God and mammon.
And this is talking about money. Because money is God to some people. They make that their God. See it every day. Just look out your window. Look on the radio and look at these videos on the TV and so forth. Listen to these songs and how they're singing and what they're saying. God and them. They like mammon. They serving money. Wood and stone, the book say. All right. Did you finish that?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go to John 13. We're going to read 13 and 5. And a lot of people are guilty of this on a consistent basis. Okay? When you get there, read.
Ye call me Master and Lord, and ye say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and Master, have washed your feet, ye also ought to wash one another's feet.
Now pay attention to what he said. Ye call me Master and Lord. And ye say, well, for so I am. But then he said, if I then be these titles you give me, your Lord and Master, and keep in mind there's something else in it. He said, for so I am. He's saying, telling you I am. You know the one you read about? This is Jesus talking here. He's saying, and he said, if you say well. In other words, it's the truth. And he says that he's giving you an example here. Keep reading.
For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you.
You should do as I have done to you. And this is much larger than this, but you get what I'm getting at here when you go in and you say he's your Lord and your Master, and you don't do what he say do. He can't be your Lord and Master, brothers and sisters. You can't be following him. You can't humble yourselves before him. You have no humility towards this God. You're not honoring him. If you call him Lord and call him your Master and you then refuse to do what he commands you, how is that possible? It's not possible. And he says further down in this, he said, for I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. And this goes further than just this statement he's making here about washing each other's feet. But he was sent by the Father with a message to his people. And he was supposed to do certain things, and he followed it to the letter. That's the example he gave. He obeyed the Father, always obeyed the Father and did what he instructed him to do.
Even to his death.
Even to the death of the cross. This is obedience, brothers and sisters, true obedience. This is how he honored the Father, and if he is our Father, which he is, you're supposed to honor him by doing what he said. Why call him Master or Lord if you don't? All right, let's make it even clearer. Let's go to Luke 6 and read 46 to 47. Luke 6. And look at this.
And why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say?
That's a good question. Why you, Jesus is my this, that, but you're not doing what he's saying. He's telling you to do. He's also the God of the Old Testament. You read that, you never dealt with the Father. Never dealt with him. You dealt with Jesus. All it's the same God. The God of the Old Testament and the same God. So you're not doing what he tells you, what he's commanded you to do. So why call him Lord, Lord? And do not the things that he say or commands you. This is what he's saying here. Go ahead and finish this.
Whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings.
You hear them, go ahead.
And doeth them.
And you do them.
I will show you to whom he is like.
He's likened to a man who builds his house on a solid rock. Okay? That's a wise man. And you be wise to do what he tell you to. Okay, this is his whole point in this. We're not going to read any more than that. I just wanted to get that out of there because we can read further and this will be even clearer to you. But he's like a man who, well, in other words, a man who's strong in faith. Faith in who? In Jesus Christ. This is what he's telling you. Let's go to Malachi 1. We're going to read one verse there, verse 6, and continue this. This is not a New Testament question, brothers and sisters, by God. he asked it in the days of old too. In the old days, he asked this. Same thing. We're going to read it. Go ahead. Read that verse 6. See if it's similar to what we just read.
A son honoreth his father, and a servant his master.
Yeah, if he tells you to do something, you do it. Didn't Jesus honor the Father that sent him and do all that he took? And Jesus is supposed to be our Father, which he is. We're supposed to do what he commands us as well. But go ahead.
If then I be a father,
He's asking this question. Go ahead.
where is mine honor?
Where is it? How do you honor this God? He's asking a great question here. If he be your Father, and even if you say, well, I got to honor the Father. Okay, well, the Father tell you he's put judgment in the hands of his who? His Son. All of it. He's the door. And you're not supposed to give him no honor? So, he said, for then, if I be a father, where's my honor? This is a good question. Go ahead.
And if I be a master, where is my fear?
Where is my fear? We read earlier that his fear, your fear toward him is taught by what? The precepts of men, the silly laws of men, the bogus laws of men. That simply will get you in more trouble with this God. And these are great questions. Say, hey, and if I be a master, where's my fear? Most people fear masters because sometimes masters hold life and death in the palm of their hand. Yours. Okay? Go ahead and finish this.
Saith the Lord of hosts.
And that's who's talking. That's who's talking here. And who is he talking to?
O priests that despise my name.
And it's a lot of people got the same aptitude and attitude as these priests of old. You despise. Okay? You despise the name of the Lord. And this, if you look, this is talking about the authority of God. You despise God having authority over you. You have to humble yourself before him. You have to keep his commandments, his laws and statutes, and teach others. You despise having to do that. That's why you don't want to call him master and Lord, because you despise him. You despise his authority. And who gave him his authority? The Father. And you don't know what you're doing. But you despise my authority. Finish this.
And ye say, wherein have we despised thy name?
You said, when have we despised our name, meaning his authority? Your rebellion.
And that's sad. They do not keep the law. They do not honor him. And then they wonder, well, when have I not done honored you?
This is all that simple. A person go to church. You look up, they go to church all the time, every Sunday. And we know that church is the people we're just using so you can understand our point. But they go every Sunday. I mean, some being there all day, and then they cook pork chops. And they cook swine and eat the abominable things
and they
in the ocean.
And say they love God.
They say they love
and
God
they honor him.
and they honor him. And they don't despise his authority. He commanded you can't eat these things, but you eat them anyway. Saying all you got to do is pray over. No, the book don't say that. He forbade
That's
you.
the precepts of men.
That's right. That was my whole point. You took it right off my tongue. You're going by the precepts of men. You're not honoring God. There's certain things you cannot eat according to God. If you honor him, you will abide by that. And there are a lot of people who profess to be honoring God, but are breaking his dietary law every single day. And they know they're doing it. But they don't want to honor him. They don't want him to be their master and be their Lord. They use lip service. And that's not going to cut it, because it's going to come a time where you got to ante up. And you pay your bill, if you will. And believe me, because you don't belong to yourself anymore. There was a God that came down here and died for your past sins, and you're going to pay him back. He paid the Father for you to keep him from killing you, and now you owe him. And he's asking you to just simply keep his commandments and walk uprightly. Just simple stuff. And don't eat things that are going to make you sick and make you not live as long as you can by keeping yourself healthy. They don't even understand that the God is doing you a favor, trying to show you how to eat, how to keep your body up.
He created it. He should know.
Exactly. Oh, ain't nothing wrong with this stuff. You just pray over and eat. I've been eating my pork for years. I ain't giving up my pork. This is what people be saying. But you honor God. You love God. He's your Lord and He's your master. Give me a break. You despise the authority of God.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. You despise Him. If you despise His authority, you also despise the one that sent Him.
That's right.
And you don't understand this. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to go to John 14. We're going to read 15 and then double back and read 13 and 14. If you love Jesus Christ, brothers and sisters, and most Christians and Hebrew Israelites and others, they say they do, but their actions show that they don't. And we're going to look at something you should be doing every day of your life if you profess that He's your Lord and He's your master. You should he said, where's my fear? Mm-hmm. Where's my honor? Okay? Read that 15th verse.
If you love me, keep my commandments.
I mean, they say the commandments ain't no, you don't need to keep these, you can't keep these commandments. If that's the case, then you can commit adultery and won't nothing happen to you. Go sleep with some husband's wife and let him know you're doing it and see what happens to you. Go rob a bank in broad daylight and see what happens to you.
Okay, well, they'll say, no, we ain't talking about the 10 commandments. We're talking about all them other commandments. Oh. Well, if you say that, then it's okay to lay with your mother.
Exactly. You can't do that. Is it okay to be a pedophile?
No.
No.
Is it okay to sleep with animals?
Can you marry your own sister? No.
No.
That's the law, brothers and sisters. You got to pay attention.
You can't pick and choose what you're going to honor and what you ain't.
That's right. You got to deal with it all or nothing. It's all that simple. God don't play that picky-pack nonsense. And you're going to pick out what you want, and then you can't do that. But in any case, we're going to skip back to 13 and read 14. 13 and 14. Continue this.
Okay, sorry. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do.
It comes with a stipulation, don't it? And that stipulation is going to be when you read to that 15 and say, and we read that first, if you love me, keep my commandments, all of them. This is plural. All the ones that pertain to you, because there are certain laws that pertain to the priest. You're not a priest, so you don't want to worry about that. But the ones that pertain to you, he said, it's a stipulation here. Then when you ask in my name, in my authority, which you despise, he said, that will I do. Go ahead.
That the Father may be glorified in the Son.
The Father, because He sent me. Go ahead.
If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it.
In my authority, I will do it. Because this is what you do when you call on the name of the Lord. You're calling upon Him in terms of, because this is what this is saying, this is what this word in my name, my authority. And people don't understand it. And this is how you honor God, brothers and sisters. Keep His commandments. Don't call Him your Lord or your master if you don't. It's very simple. I just want to put this little simple lesson together because you can go in here and do it 50 other different ways. This is the way I chose to bring this. Just my little way to just, give you some insight on honoring God. How do you do that? You keep His commandments and all His other laws that are Bible today. Okay? Let's just move on and go to Ecclesiastes 12 and read 13 and 14. I love this because people always read it and they use it out of context, but I think it's in its proper context. Now, most people don't even understand, this, or the actions and deeds that go with honoring God. But go ahead.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
And this is the conclusion of it. This is what you got to do to honor God. Go ahead.
Fear God.
What?
Fear God.
Fear God. Why? Where's His honor? Where's His fear? Didn't He ask us that back in Malachi? Go ahead.
And keep His commandments.
And keep His commandments. We just read that. Go ahead. In the New Testament, here it is in the Old Testament. Go ahead.
For this is the whole duty of man.
This is our duty, brothers and sisters. This is how you honor God. Truly honor Him. Okay? This is the whole duty. We'll honor, when it say this is the whole duty, we're under what? Obligation. Because we owe this God who's asking us to do that. We are bound. We are debtors. Because He paid the debt to the Father that we owed and we couldn't pay. He died on the cross for us, for our past sins. We're indebted to him. So who do we belong to?
Him. He said it.
You're not paying attention to this stuff. This is how you honor God. You keep his commandments. You fear him. This is the whole duty of man. You're under obligation to do this. We owe him this. Okay? This is what duty means. All right, let's keep it moving. We're going to go now to Hebrews.
We didn't finish 14. You said 13 and 14.
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
You got to understand that. I'm glad you didn't let me forget that. Every secret thing. You can't get away. You can't keep no secret from God. And he created you. How you think you can do that? How in the world can you get away with doing it? How much power? So you're more powerful than God. And you able to hide a secret from him, and he know everything and see everything. He got angels doing some things to keep him abreast as to what's going on this earth. He don't have to be here. He can just speak the word and stuff will appear in front of him. He knows what he wants to know, and he don't have to worry about you. Because remember, there's a judgment, and everything you've done in this life, it's going to be brought before you, and you're going to have to answer for it. You keep forgetting this. But you don't honor God by continually doing wickedness. You repent, and you start doing what thus said the Lord. If he's your Lord, if he is your master, then do what he say. Where's his fear? Don't let it be taught to you by the precepts of men. No. Remember that. Let's keep it moving. We're going to move now to Hebrews 10. We're going to read 30 and 31 and continue looking at this because we're talking about Almighty God here. And you can't fall into his hands as a non-repenting sinner, brothers and sisters. I just want to let you know that in case you don't fall into his hands that way. That's the wrong way to fall into his hands. When you get to 30, read 30. We're going to read to 31 and 30 because this is something you don't remember either. But I'm going to remind you this. What does it say right here?
For we know him that hath said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense.
Meaning he will repay.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to repay you for what you need to be repaid for. If it's wickedness, you're going to be given that. If it's honor, you're going to be given that too. So you got to decide. You got to honor this God. There's no escape from his judgment. And he is about righteous judgment. Everything that happens to you, it's according to him and it's righteous. Ain't no such thing that God make a mistake and do something to somebody that ain't got it coming. No, he don't play that. But go ahead and continue this.
I will recompense, saith the Lord. And again, the Lord shall judge his people.
He's going to judge his people. Recompense, repay all sinners. That's what he's talking about here. Go ahead.
It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God.
As a non-repentant sinner, it most definitely is. You should be trembling and shaking in your boots if you want to be a sinner till the day you die. And thinking that's over, but ain't no. That's not the end. It's the end of one thing and the beginning of something else, brothers and sisters. This is what the Bible tells us. Don't you listen to them people teach that soul sleep? That's not what the book is saying. And Paul tells us something else here. Let's read this together. Let's go to 2 Corinthians verse 8. We're going to read 4 to the 9, and then we're going to skip and read 13 to the 16. And again, you have to have more than lip service before the Lord. Okay? It's got to be more than that. Because you can't fool him. When you get to 4, start there.
Praying us with much entreaty that we should receive the gift.
Yeah, we will receive the gift. Okay, go ahead.
And take upon us the fellowship of the ministering of the saints.
Okay.
And this they did, not as we hoped, but first gave their own selves to the Lord.
It's your decision, just like it was theirs. You got to humble yourself, give yourself to the Lord. Be a vessel of God. Be a tool that he can use. And this is a good thing. Go ahead.
unto us by the will of God. Insomuch that we desired Titus.
So they desired Titus to go ahead on and preach this thing to these Corinthians, a fellowship of the ministering of the saints. And these Corinthians were considered saints, brothers and sisters. And so they sent Titus to them. Go ahead.
That as he had begun, so he would also finish in you the same grace also.
Mm-hmm. Same grace that was on them. Hey, he was going to teach them, and it'll be on them as well. These Corinthians. Go ahead.
Therefore, as ye abound in everything, in faith.
In faith. Go ahead.
And utterance, and knowledge, and in all diligence, and in your love to us, see that ye abound in this grace also.
In this grace also, he said, you abound in everything. In faith, in utterance, meaning you speak, and you speak in what? Knowledge, and in all diligence, to make sure that what you're teaching others, they can abound in this as well. He's saying, in your love to us, see that ye abound in grace also. Go ahead.
I speak not by commandment.
Go ahead.
But by occasion of the forwardness of others.
Mm-hmm.
And to prove the sincerity of your love.
You got to, if you love me, keep my what?
Commandments.
That's what we've been reading. If you love the Lord, you keep his commandments. What do you think they're teaching these Corinthians? The commandments of God. To prove your sincerity of your love, you got to be talking about the law here and the commandments. Go ahead.
For ye know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor.
Became poor.
That ye through his poverty might be rich.
And that's a true statement. So if Jesus proved his love towards us by the things he did for us, what do you think you have to do? You don't have to prove nothing then, huh? You don't have to show forth no faith, no works, no nothing. That's not true, brothers and sisters.
Just believe on Christ.
Yeah, but you got to do something. If you say you believe Christ and I see you out here murdering people, that's not believing Christ, because you can't be a murderer and believe in Christ. And this is what people understand. I believe God. I look out there, ain't that so-and-so? Yeah, look what he doing. Look what he doing. Brothers and sisters, you don't know that perhaps you might be caught up in this too. So be careful what you say to people and they turn around and see you doing something, because the book tells us also to abstain from all appearance of evil. And the evil is breaking the law, not keeping God's commandments. Because if you kept them, you ain't got to worry about nothing. So what makes you think if Jesus had to prove his love for us, we ain't got to do nothing to prove ours for him? That doesn't make any sense. Skip down now. Skip to verse 13. We're going to read 13 to the 16.
For I mean not that other men be eased and ye burdened.
That's not what he meant by sending Titus to them. He's going to explain. Go ahead.
But by an equality.
And equality. You know what equality is? He's going to break it down a little bit to you. Go ahead.
That now at this time your abundance may be a supply for their want.
That your abundance may be a supply for their want. Meaning, if you got an abundance of something and the other person doesn't, then whatever they want, you got an abundance of it. What you supposed to do?
Give it to them.
You give it to them. This is how you honor God too, brothers and sisters. He's blessed you, tremendously blessed you, and you got an overreach where it's overflowing, and you see people in want, in need, and you don't do nothing for them, and you can, and it won't hurt you at all, and you don't do it. You're not honoring God. You better remember that. Go ahead.
That their abundance also may be a supply for your want.
Same thing applies to them.
So what they may be abundant in, you may lack, and what you have abundance in, they may lack.
It's
so
all
you give to each other.
It's all that simple. That's how you honor God as well, because the Lord said you'll always have the poor among you, Israel.
that there may be equality.
That's equality. Not according to man, but according to the word of God. Go ahead.
As it is written, that he that had gathered much had nothing over.
This is true. We just read that, and he breaking it down another way. He that has gathered much in has nothing over. Why? Because the one that gathered little, when he runs out, you give of what you have because you got an overage to him, and both y'all are happy. You've done a good thing, a good deed. Then the Lord asked the question, when did you see, Lord, when did we see you ever begging for food and wanting? He said, when you have done it as unto the least of Israel, you have done it as unto me. But you're not paying attention to none of this stuff. This is how you honor God, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
And he that had gathered little had no lack.
It's all that simple, because when he had none, and the one that gathered much, hey, him
Turned it right on.
turn it right over to him. I got a lot, man. You can have this. Just to carry you to the next crop. This is what equality is. Go ahead.
But thanks be to God, which put the same earnest care into the heart of Titus for you.
To the heart, the same mindset, the same understanding. So if you have the same mindset, the same understanding, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to honor God together. The one that has more will give the one who has less what he needs. And the one who has less will accept what the one who has more is giving. This is equality, brothers and sisters. Let's continue to read this. Because we have to go back and read something, because people be messing this up too. Lord God oftentimes proves you by trying you in many different ways and many different examples in the book of this. He tried Israel at one point. We can go in several places and read this. Let's just pick up on this and read it and see if it makes any sense. Every time God gave them their requests, he was with them. But he also had to do something before he would honor their requests. Because did we read in the New Testament, you call them, you ask for anything in my name, I'll give it to you. But you got to be a servant in order to get this. You got to humble yourself in order to get this. You got to keep my commandments in order to get what you asked me for. And let's look at something, verse 4. We're going to read one verse here. We're going to read 16 and 4 in Exodus. When you get to verse 4, read.
Then said the Lord unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you.
Just that manna that he rained down for Israel. They eating angels' food. Ought to let you know something. It seems like their digestive system is not that different from man. If we can eat angels' food and they came down here and ate our food, which you can read that, I ought to tell you something. But anyway, I just don't want to throw it out there. But go ahead. He said, I will rain bread from heaven for you. Go ahead.
And the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day.
Now, he said, gather not as anything you see. He said a certain rate, meaning a certain amount. And he did this for a reason, meaning he gave you specific instructions of what to gather and what not to in terms of how much the amount. Go ahead.
That I may prove them, whether they will walk in my law or no.
Whether they will obey my voice or not. I want you to go out here, I want you to pick up an ounce.
Only so much.
And
that's it.
They didn't do that. And the repercussions, you can read about it, go back and read what happened. That stuff turned into worms. You know what I'm saying? They got too much of it and tried to keep it over the time that they were supposed to keep it.
Hoarding.
But I'm just showing you this because sometimes the Lord did things to prove you. To prove if you loved him, if you would walk in his commandments and his laws or not. Will you obey his voice? And I'm speaking in this sense, Moses was the voice of the Lord. Let's go to Exodus 20, and we're going to read 19 and 20 and continue this, showing how he further proved Israel. And this included being afraid, fearing this God as well, brothers and sisters. This shows that you will humble yourself before him because you know how powerful he is. And sometimes he had to show Israel his might to get their attention. He's nothing to play with. Go ahead and read when you get to 19.
And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die.
They were afraid then. Because of the things that were going on, already, lightning and all this stuff, and they had a right to be. They had never seen nothing like that before. When God delivered them out of Egypt's bondage, he then began to show him. He showed them, but see, this is the thing. They should have known how powerful he was when he brought all them plagues on Egypt and destroyed them in the manner in which he did. They weren't paying that no attention. It don't make no sense. Then he gets them to Sinai, then he comes down and puts on, he does a grand entrance. But he should have had to do that because you had seen his power and might back in Egypt. Oh, but that was the stupidity of our forefathers. And even some people today don't understand the difference here. You fear this God, this is mighty God. Okay, go on.
And Moses said unto the people.
So they said, don't speak to us, we scared, man, because we scared we're going to die. You speak to us, and whatever you tell us, that's what we'll do. But Moses is getting his instructions from the Lord, right? But we're going to see if they follow him. So he said something here, and good. Moses said to the people,
Fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not.
That you what?
Sin
So
not.
as I said earlier in the lesson, if you fear God, it's your protector. That fear of God it protects you, that you do not what?
Sin.
That you do not sin against him. It's a good thing to fear this God in this book, brothers and sisters. It protects you from him, from his wrath. Because he's angry with the wicked or the sinners every day.
Every day.
You're not putting this stuff together and where it makes any sense to you. This is real simple and real easy. But he's saying, hey, he gonna prove you. That means he's gonna test you. See if you would keep his laws or not, or his commandments or not, or obey his voice or not. And he's doing this that ye sin not against him. So knowing, understanding the true fear, knowing and understanding the true fear of God, it protects you from him because you won't sin against him. And you don't have to worry about him doing anything to you. Ain't nothing wrong with fearing the Lord. Don't let man teach you his brand of fear. Read about the real fear and what it provides for you in this Bible. Nothing wrong with it. It protects you. And it keeps you from sinning against this great God. Let's go on, and we're going to go now to James. We're going to go to James 2, and we're going to read 8 to the 20. And most Christians don't know nothing of it. So-called Christians don't know nothing about God proving them or showing them anything. But according to James, we're going to see if this is true or not. And because James is telling you that that's not true. But most Christians tell you ain't got to do none of that. You ain't got to prove nothing. You ain't got to be proven by God. You ain't got to show him nothing. You ain't got to honor him. You ain't got to honor yourself before God. God don't want you to fear him. Who told you that? It's all over the book. But you hear people saying this stuff. You don't honor him. I'm honoring him because, I'm a child of God. Well, wait a minute. You got to do something to prove to me that you are a child of God. Because there's more than one God, brother. There's many gods. The Bible tells us this. And a lot of these gods that he's talking about are wicked. Okay, the fallen angels for one. You don't even understand that. But anyway, let's start at the 8 and see if we get some understanding from what we're going to read out of James here and what he's saying as it pertains to how you honor God. Go ahead.
If ye fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Ye do well.
We talk about the commandments, now. We talk about the commandments here. Go ahead.
But if ye have respect to persons, ye commit sin.
And this is right here. You're convicted right here. Many of you do this. Pastors do this. Honor a guy because he speaks better than another guy. Honor a guy because he will go along with you even when you're wrong and the other guy is standing up against your wrong and you go up with the guy who's agreeing with you. You have respect of persons, you commit sin.
Or you honor a guy because he put more money in the plate.
Exactly. Well, I can't do nothing to that guy because, man, every week he put $400 in the plate every week. And what you putting in there? 25? Man, but he doing wrong, Pastor. This man is doing wrong. This is against the word of God. I'm sorry, I can't help you, man. I can't mess with this brother because really you ain't got no proof. What you mean you ain't got no proof? You see this is what you get when you let, what do you say, mammon? You serve mammon. When that becomes your God, you then take a bribe. Also the book spoke about, we read about that. You can't do this, brothers and sisters. If you're going to honor God, you cannot do any of these things I just mentioned. You cannot be a respecter of persons under no circumstances. You fear God, honor him by fearing him, because that fear will keep you from sinning against him. That's a good thing. Continue reading this.
And are convinced of the law as transgressors.
You are convicted, really, as a sinner. Go ahead.
For whosoever shall keep the whole law.
I hear that all the time. I keep the law. God, really? Go ahead. Keep reading.
And yet offend in one point.
In one point. So if you respect a person, you say you keep all the laws, but you respect a person, what are you?
He is guilty of all.
I don't need to break this down for you. It says what it says. It means what it says. It's accurate. Keep reading.
For he that said, do not commit adultery, said also, do not kill.
Meaning do not murder. Go ahead.
Now, if thou commit no adultery, yet if thou kill, thou art become a transgressor of the law.
You might not commit adultery, but you're murdering people. You done murdered 4 or 5 people. Or you ain't murdering nobody and you commit adultery every single time you can get your hands on a different woman that ain't your wife. Or you're fornicating all over the place. You can't do this. You can't preach one thing and turn around and do something else and think you honoring God. Because this is what this lesson about. That's not honoring God, brothers and sisters. And you got a lot of people that do this. And simply because you can't see what they do, but everything that's done in secret, the Lord said light shall shine on it. Mm-hmm. And most people that have done this, it has come out on them when they least expected it. And this is terrible. Okay, but continue reading this. James is very, very clear here, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. So speak ye and so do as they.
So speak ye and so do.
Mm-hmm.
What's he saying here? Practice what you preach.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way this can be put. James is telling us to practice what we preach to others. Okay? So he's telling you not only to practice what you preach, brothers and sisters, but don't be a hypocrite. You preach one thing, you're doing something else. That's a hypocrite. Also a liar and many other words you can add to that. But continue.
As they that shall be judged by the law of liberty.
These commandments going to judge you. If you do contrary to what they say, you're going to be judged by these same laws that you say are no more. And you can take that to the bank. Go ahead.
For he shall have judgment without mercy.
And if you do, you're going to have judgment without what?
Mercy.
Now, who wants this? You better honor this God, sisters and brothers. You don't want to have judgment without mercy, because God's judgment is righteous. And if it causes you to be killed, that's righteous judgment. You don't want that. You can change that. You can alter that outcome if you're still alive today. You can understand what he wants you to understand in this book, honor him correctly, and walk uprightly. He said, if you love me, keep my commandments. If I am your Lord, if you call me master, then you do what I say. Where's my fear?
Mm-hmm.
Where's God's fear? Don't follow the precepts of men, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
That have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment.
Go ahead.
What doth it profit, my brethren?
He's getting ready to bring something else to the light, because you got a lot of people that, man, I got faith in the Lord. I don't know what you're talking about. Get out of my face. I got faith in the Lord. But, brother, you got to take that pork out of your mouth. You can't eat. I can eat anything I want. God says it's okay. No, he didn't. Where's his honor? You're not keeping his law. And you're cheating on your spouse. You're not keeping his law. Where's his honor? He's your master. He told you don't do these things. But look at this. And then you turn around and say you got faith. But look what James says. Go ahead.
Though a man say he hath faith and have not works.
So you got faith, but you don't have to keep the law. In other words, if you got faith, keep your hands off of a woman that ain't yours, that you ain't married to. Don't steal, and so forth and so on. But you got faith and you doing all these things. Give me a break. Come on.
Can faith save him?
It's a good question. We're going to see. Keep reading.
If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled.
That's an insult. How you going to do that and you got faith in Jesus Christ? That's what he told you to do. Brother come up, he broke, he poor, he ragged, ain't got no shoes on his feet, he got holes in them more or less, and he ain't got nothing to eat and so forth, and you, yeah, brother, you pat him on the back, he destitute of daily food, and then you say, depart in peace, my brother, be warm, he ain't got no coat, his cold is on or what, and be filled, he ain't got no food and stuff, you didn't give him nothing, but you got faith. You don't have no faith. Because the faithful wouldn't send this brother away without the things that he needed, and he had them. I can see if you was in the same condition he was in, but you're not. Then you send the man away, then he's gonna tell you this. Continue reading this.
Notwithstanding ye, give them not those things which are needful to the body.
Food and clothing, go ahead.
What doeth it profit? Even so faith, if it have not works, is dead, being alone.
So with your faith alone, it can't cut it, brothers and sisters. You got to have some works. That man who needed food and clothing, in order for your faith to come alive and people know you are faithful and you have it, you got to put your works, meaning you give that man a coat to put on because it's cold, and you give him something to eat because he's hungry. That's faith and works. Faith without works is dead. Your faith means nothing if you don't understand this. Continue reading.
Yea, a man may say,
and a lot of them do, go ahead.
Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works.
He's making a great example here. You show me your faith without thy works. You can't do it. That is not faith. Go ahead, but he's going to tell you what it is.
And I will show thee my faith by my works.
By my works. That's how you know somebody has true faith. By their works. A man who has no shoes, no clothes, he's hungry, you got an extra coat, or you've been blessed with some extra money, and a coat is, you have enough money to give him a coat and something to eat. By your works, you show forth your faith. You just helped this man. And the Lord said, you did it to him, it is just doing it unto him. Christ has this in the Gospels. And you don't understand this. But you got faith. Give me a break. Continue reading this.
Thou believest that there is one God.
Keep this in mind. Go ahead. You say that. Go ahead.
Thou doest well. The devils also believeth and tremble.
They got enough sense to fear God. The devils do, and you don't. What does that say about how much sense you have? The devils know that there's one God, and they tremble, meaning they fear him. But you say you don't have to fear God. And he keeps you from breaking his commandments. That fear of him. He's going to prove you. You don't even understand. Continue to read. Let's finish this.
But wilt thou know, O vain man?
You vain. Go ahead.
That faith without works is dead.
You can't be no clearer than that. You cannot be any clearer than that. Again, lip service is not going to cut it. God is tired of that. That's why he's angry with the wicked every day. You give you lip service. That's all you're doing. You ain't got no works. With the faith you profess to have, you got to add some works with that. Then I'll know that you have true faith. But you say you don't need to show no works. This is what people are being taught. Let's now go to John 5 And we're going to read 22 and 23 because the Lord told us that vengeance belongeth to him. Okay? And we're talking Jesus Christ. That's who it belongs to. And most people don't know that. Anytime you crucify an innocent man and you continue to do the things that are against the laws that he gave to govern you and you can have a fruitful and a wonderful life, you're gonna have to answer to this. You're gonna have, and plus he's the door, you gotta answer to him. You gotta answer for your deeds while you're alive on this earth, brothers and sisters. Let's read what this says though, and see what it says the Father did and what he gave his son. And you don't remember this. Go ahead and read that.
For the Father judgeth no man.
Okay, go ahead, but who does?
But have committed all judgment unto the Son.
Who's the Son?
Jesus.
Jesus Christ is the Son of God, brothers and sisters. So all judgment is in the hands of Jesus. That's why he's the door. You got to go through him. You're going to answer to him. Everything that you've done that's against his word, against his laws, you're going to have to stand before him and you're going to have to answer for him. But you have time. If you're alive today, you have time to correct this. It's an easy thing to humble yourself. That's how you honor God. And do what he say. You call him Lord, you call him Master, but you don't want to do what he say. Where's his fear? Where's his honor? If he's your master. Go ahead.
That all men should honor the Son.
What did it say?
All men should honor the Son.
How do we honor God? By keeping his commandments. Simple as that, brothers and sisters. Very simple. Go ahead.
Even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son honoreth not the Father.
And most people don't know this. Go ahead.
Which hath sent him.
If you don't honor the Son, you honor not the Father that sent him. That's some trouble you don't even want to have. Because Jesus was the one that got you out of trouble with the Father, because he came down and died for you. You know what I'm saying? Now, you don't want to honor the one that the Father sent with a great message to and for you. But you got people saying all kind of stuff you can't even read out the Bible. Well, this is how you honor God. Not by eating no pork. Not by eating unclean things. You don't want to keep the Sabbath day and so forth. And I can go on and on and on. But this is a very simple thing. We're going to go to 1 Peter 2 and start at the 15 and continue to read. And this is the will of God, and this is how we honor him. Peter's going to shed a little light on this. When you get to 15, read.
For so is the will of God.
Wait a minute. For so is the will of God. Peter getting ready to shed a little light on what the will of God is. Okay, go ahead.
That with well-doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men.
And nobody really pays attention to this. Who's a foolish man? You ain't got to keep them commandments. You ain't got to keep them dietary laws. You can eat anything you want. All you got to do is pray over it. You can have 3, 4, 5, 6 wives. You're the one that you legally married to. She got to just understand that you can do this and be with it, and they all been to say all of this stuff. This is a foolish man, is it not? Mm-hmm. And I can go on and on and on. I'm just throwing a few things out there so you can understand. You better pay attention to what people teaching you when they open up this Bible. And a lot of you are not doing it. You don't honor God this way. Okay? You have to put silence the ignorance of foolish men. The ignorance of foolish men. Go ahead.
As free, and not using your liberty for a cloak of maliciousness.
And you can't hide behind certain things and be a malicious person. It's like you hiding behind a cloak or a coat and you're disguising your true self. But all you got to do is, the Lord said you can tell a tree by the fruit it bears. And those fruits are works. So what a man does will determine his faith and his honor of God. All you got to do is look at what he does. And then, if you're not sure, just open this book. Because, hey, the history of man is this Bible. You can read about every kind of man on this planet. You can open this Bible and read about it. Ain't nothing new on this planet. There's nothing new under the sun. Ain't no new type of person on this planet. They've been here before. Just a different day and a different age. That's it. Continue to read this.
But as the servants of God,
Mm-hmm.
honor all men, love the brotherhood.
And this is what people got to understand. You can do this as servants of God. But servants of God, fear him and keep what? His commandments. Go ahead.
Fear God, honor the king. Servants be subject to your masters with all fear, not only to the good and gentle, but also to the froward.
And I mean harsh, you know, because some people are under certain individuals and they speak to them. Yeah, don't worry about it. If you had to do what you had to do, you had to do it. Sometimes you take stuff on your job, people say something to you, and if you was in the streets, you'd probably jump on them and beat their behind. But you can't do that because you lose your job. You can't take care of your family. So you're under humility, aren't you?
Yeah.
And not only that, you're using a little knowledge, a little common sense, and really it's just knowledge. Because you can't jump on your boss because he said something to you out of the way and it offended you. Sometimes you just, hey, you overlook that because that paycheck is more important than your feelings, is it not? Cashing that check every week or every other week when you get paid is more important than your feelings, is it not? That's wisdom. Go ahead.
For this is thankworthy. If a man for conscience towards God endure grief.
Sometimes you have to endure grief. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, you don't like everything that happens to you, even on your job, but you endure certain things because you got something else more important to achieve and do. You got to earn a living and take care of your family. So subsequently, you might take some things that you would normally take, but it's for the betterment of your family. This is why you can endure grief and many other things. You go ahead.
Suffering wrongfully.
And they're doing something that's not righteous, that's wrong with you. You can endure this because none of us have resisted unto blood, the Bible said. Not yet, anyway. Go ahead.
For what glory is it if when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patiently? But if when ye do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with God.
You got to understand what he's saying here. Look at it. But let's keep reading.
For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us.
This is the whole point. That's why I didn't want to break that up. I could have spoke on that, but this is what I was getting. Because Christ also suffered for us. He endured grief.
And he suffered wrongfully.
Wrongfully. And you think you better than him? You can't honor him, show forth honor to this God who went through this ordeal for you? You brothers and sisters, you are not thinking. Rebellion is not honoring God. Resisting, having faith in him is not honoring God. He said, because Christ also suffered for us. Go ahead and finish this.
Leaving us an example.
An example. Go ahead.
That ye should follow his steps.
Not to say that you let people crucify you on the cross. That ain't what he's saying. And with respect to following his steps, that means the things that he did.
For others.
For others. His manner, he never spoke a lie. He never spoke untruths. Look at what he did. When he heard untruths, he jumped on them and corrected people and all of that. This is what he's talking about. This is our example. Christ never had guile. Was no guile found in his mouth. Go ahead.
Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth.
He did no sin. And I just said that, but we're reading it here. Go ahead. No guile was found, no lies.
Who when he was reviled not again.
He didn't pay you back with that reviling. You said horrible things about him and you reviled him or detested him. He didn't comment on that. He didn't care what you thought about him.
You didn't have to go word for word.
Right.
Like you see a lot of people do.
Right.
When you cuss me, I'm going to cuss you out.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah.
That's
This is
really
not the case.
Christ didn't do any of that. Go ahead.
When he suffered, he threatened not.
He didn't threaten the people, hey, you know what? I'm coming back. When I come back, I'm gonna dust. He didn't say none of that. Go ahead.
But committed himself to him that judges righteously, who his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree.
Christ bared our sins. So who are you not to take a little harshness sometime? Not to endure a little harshness and unfairness sometime. You don't have that in you, and this man actually died, gave his life for sinners? I don't understand how you can think like that. Go ahead.
That we being dead to sins,
Meaning we don't sin anymore. We don't break his laws anymore. Go ahead.
should live unto righteousness.
Go ahead.
By whose stripes ye were
You
healed.
weren't healed by the stripes of men who are teaching you against God. They're teaching their precepts of fear toward him. You were healed by the stripes of Jesus Christ, brothers and sisters. And you can't do a little something. You can't humble yourself and honor God appropriately. Come on. Go ahead.
For ye were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls.
And that's what he is, a shepherd and bishop of our souls, because they belong to him. The one who paid the debt, brothers and sisters. And you cannot truly honor him by keeping his commandments and the other laws that are viable today. You can't do that. Humble yourself. Let's go now to the Apocrypha, into Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 10. We're going to read a couple of things right there, because I want to show you when the beginning of pride began, when pride began, the very beginning of it, and what it brought about. Okay? Because pride is not honor, is it?
No.
Okay? But when you get to Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 10, in the Apocrypha, start reading at verse 18. We're going to read 18 and 19.
Pride was not made for men, nor furious anger of them that were born of a woman.
Pride was not made for righteous men. If you say you're righteous, that kind of pride shouldn't be in you. It's not that you can't be a prideful man of some righteousness, or somebody do some good. It ain't talking about that like that. Keep it in its context, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
They that fear the Lord.
Wait a minute. Here this fear come back even in the Apocrypha. Fear. If the Lord, if you fear the Lord, he proved you by you being fearful of him that you would what not? Sin against him or break his law. Here it is in the place say that the fear, go ahead.
They
that
fear the Lord are a sure seed.
A sure seed. You're his. Go ahead.
And they that love him an honorable plant.
And honorable, you love him, keeping him your honorable plant.
They that regard not the law are a dishonorable seed.
So you don't love him, do you? You don't love him if you are you're a dishonorable seed if you regard not the law, meaning if you don't keep it. Go ahead.
They that transgress the commandments are a deceivable seed.
And it's a lot of deception going on around here. That ought to let you know what kind of seed these people are that's doing the deception. People don't believe in the Old Testament no more, and don't believe in the New Testament and so on. And you have all these people. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. That's all I can say about it. Let's go to the last place in this class. And again, the title of this class was Honoring God. How do we do that? And I think we've shed enough light for you to go back in this book and keep reading it so you can really firm up that you're going to be one that honors this God. He died for you. And he is your Lord and your Savior and your Master. So we're going to go to Psalms 26 and we're going to read verse 5. Then we're going to skip back to 1 and read to the 4. And David is asking the Lord to do something here. And this is a good thing. You need to pay attention to this. This is really good, because if you can really have this done to you, and it's just like somebody cut open your brain and you open it up and you looking down at it and see what's in there, because what's in there is going to cause your body to move and do what it's supposed to do. Your brain is controlling your body. But David asked some very, very significant questions here. And he asked the Lord to do something to him. Go ahead. Let's read with that verse 5.
I have hated the congregation of evildoers.
Look, wait a minute. David said he's hated the congregation of evildoers. That means a gathering of evildoers or wicked people, or sinners, or lawbreakers, the breakers of God's law. Go ahead.
And will not sit with the wicked.
He never sat with the wicked, he said. He will not sit with them. Should you? Should you sit with the wicked? Things you know that it's against God's law, against His commandments. Should you be sitting with these people? You better think about that. Skip now back to 4. We're going to read, to 1. We're going to read from the 1 to the 4.
Judge me, O Lord.
Can you be bold enough to ask the Lord to do that right now? How would you fare? Go ahead.
For I have walked in my integrity.
That's a beautiful thing, because Job kept his integrity, and he was rewarded with more than he had when it was taken from him. God gave him much more than that, because he kept his integrity. He honored God irregardless of what he was going through. Go ahead.
I have trusted also in the Lord.
That's who you put your trust in. Go ahead.
Therefore I shall not slide.
It's not backslide. If you walked away from sinful deeds and doings, you're not going to slide back into that, because that's wickedness. Go ahead.
Examine me, O Lord.
Can you ask the Lord to do that and He find nothing wrong with you? Go ahead.
And prove me.
Here we go with that prove. Remember we read about that earlier. The Lord proved Israel to see if they would do what? Keep His laws or not. Here's David saying, prove me, O Lord. Go ahead.
Try my reins.
This is like the kidney, essential organ. But we talking about what's between His ears here. Try my mind, Lord. You know my thoughts. You can see there ain't no foolishness in my mind. I'm going to serve you. Go ahead. Say, try my reins.
And my heart.
My heart, same thing. Go ahead.
For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And I have walked in thy truth.
In the Torah, in the law, I walked in it. I'm walking in it. Can you say that? If you ask Lord to try you, can you say this? Go ahead.
I have not sat with vain persons.
Can you say this? Are you sitting with them now? Go ahead.
Neither will I go in with dissemblers.
These are individuals, this is a blind person, that know no truth. You know what I'm saying? Like hide behind a veil or something in secrecy. They conceal, from sight. They do certain things and believe a certain way. These are dissemblers. David said he had nothing to do with these people. You not go with them. And this, brothers and sisters, concludes his lesson. We could have put much more to it, but we decided to put it together this way and bring it our way, the ABT way. And it's right on, right to the point, and you can't get confused with this, but you can also look at this and then open the Bible up and you can find other things to add to this yourself, and it will prove what I said. There's a specific way to honor God, okay? And we've shown you some of the things, really some of the main things that you must do to honor Him. Humble yourself. Keep His commandments if you say you love Him. If you have faith, show your faith by way of your works. And that's how you honor God. So, Teresa and I thank you for fellowshipping with us. Until the next time, we would hope that God keeps you and your family from all harm. Have a good day.